I'm your cult leader, Tom Pot, and welcome to The Watcher, or should I say, Watchers, because this time we are joined by two very special guests, and without further ado, I'm going to introduce them. Our first guest has many different skills, but I'm going to say he's been an actor, a wrestler, a rapper. I'm going to leave you down softly. It's not John Cena, but it is, in fact, our pal, Luke Barry. Luke, what is going on?
Not much, Tom. I'm just here to join a cult like I normally am.
I noticed, yeah. I mean,
Been a part of many cults, but this is my favourite.
Yeah, we're still trying to get more mileage out of the cult stuff, but thanks for joining in and thanks for the background. And one thing I did leave off your resume right away is you just launched a new podcast, 5 Minutes on Friday with Luke Barry. Tell me all about it.
It's basically I do a 5-minute podcast every Friday of whatever I want. At the moment, it's kind of been rant-based or kind of comedy-based, but it's not always going to be. I want to leave it loose and open to be able to do kind of whatever I want for 5 minutes every Friday. Come join me, won't you? We're on Spotify, iTunes, all the usual things. Just 5 minutes on Friday with Luke Barry.
Perfect. Very salty plug. Very good. What we'll do is the link is in the description, guys. Go down, give that a like. And before we do any of that, let's introduce our second guest. Our second guest, you might know him from the wrestling ring as Matt Skyler. He's high-flying, hard-hitting, probably the closest I know to an actual life Spider-Man. I shouldn't have said that because it's going to go straight to his head.
Oh, God, you shouldn't.
What is going on?
Yeah, not too much. Obviously with lockdown, I can't wrestle, so I've just been here being a loser, watching all of WandaVision and other
I think that's kind of
nerderific shows.
Yeah. So, as you were saying, you can't really wrestle at the moment with Phoenix Wrestling, but what kind of stuff have you guys been working on for the future?
Loads of stuff that's been working on for the future. We've somehow been able to keep classes moving by doing, watch-alongs. So we just watch wrestling and dissect the match that way, and dissect, the whole logic behind the match, telling a story that way. There's workout classes being done, and I believe also there was an announcement made for Phoenix Rising TV over on Instagram and Twitter as well. So hopefully,
we can't say anything more about that, or Billy Bedlam would break my legs. Yes, Phoenix Rising TV. Keep an eye on it, coming very soon. But while we're talking about TV, guys, we of course all have just finished WandaVision. We're coming up on about a week removed from it now. Hopefully it's going to join or drop on Friday, exactly when it comes up. So I guess just general thoughts, positives and negatives. Luke, I'll come to you first. What did you make of WandaVision? Because I do a video on them every week, but I don't want this to just be an echo chamber. Is it as good as everyone's saying? Is it as good as I thought it is? What were your own thoughts?
I love that. I thought it was amazing. It was different. It was interesting. It kept you guessing. It's still keeping us guessing, even now that it's over. People are still trying to figure out bits and pieces of it. It furthered the Marvel universe in total. It had sitcom tropes, which I love. Dick Van Dyke was involved, which I love. So I loved it. And by the way, great job doing the Watcher series. Really kind of, when I was finished watching episodes, it was a great thing to be able to watch back and kind of go, oh yeah, that happened. Oh yeah, that happened, because a lot happened.
I appreciate it, man. And hopefully we're going to keep that going with Falcon and Winter Soldier, but maybe not as much to dig into. Did you hear, guys? You guys were talking about Dick Van Dyke being involved in it. Did you hear the meeting that they had with Dick Van Dyke?
No.
It was adorable. It was like the old, when an old man is just so kind of like, oh, bless him. Like they basically had a meeting with him, and they were like, oh, hey, we're they had Kevin Feige there, and he's like, oh yeah, we're working on these movies, and he goes, oh, I hear you guys are doing really good stuff, and then he's like, yeah, actually we have the number 1 movie of all time. Oh, really? Good enough. Yeah, he's just kind of like, oh, they clued him into what the world around him is. It was just but yeah.
But really, Dick Van Dyke probably lives in Dick Van Dyke land, where he dances around with penguins and plays men that are 80 years older than him and that kind of thing.
Wasn't there a story? And I was going to say, since he's been really old, but obviously he's even older now. Wasn't there a story 15 years ago he got saved by a load of dolphins or something? Does anyone remember that story?
What? I'm too young for this.
I swear to God, this is true. He
told this not an episode.
I know, yeah, but forget about WandaVision. This is now Dick Van Dyke, the Dolphin Hour. But basically, yeah, he told a story where he got swept out to sea and he got saved by dolphins. Since this is video, I'll put a link to the story, or else I'm just totally crazy. But yeah, anyway, that's something to dig into.
Dick and the Dolphins. There's your name for this podcast.
Aaron, what were your thoughts on WandaVision? Did it live up to the hype?
I thought it was awesome. It does very well. It does what Marvel are brilliant at, which are taking lesser known characters or lesser evolved characters and just bringing them out into the forefront and blowing their character details up by a million times. I absolutely loved watching this. Particularly for a character of the Vision, who is one that I've always, really liked. Someone who is very much kind of like an awkward background character who is just overpowered. It's all very much explained in this show quite well.
Very good. I guess one of the things I kind of said to you guys, because I was worried that it would just be kind of like, kissing the ass of WandaVision and stuff, which, there's enough Marvel shills if you have DC people out there. What was something that maybe you feel like it didn't do that well or could have done better? Like, if I had to kind of go from my own point of view, and again, I'm probably taking one of the common complaints that people have, is Evan Peters being involved and not really leading to anything except a bit of bait. What were your guys' thoughts on that in general? I mean, did you think this was going to be a multiverse thing? Are you let down by the lack of reveal? Aaron, I'm going to come to you first.
I think it could still be a multiverse thing, just not how we all thought it would be. We all thought they were going to try and do some crazy harebrained scheme to bring the existing X-Men universe into the MCU universe, but it doesn't seem it's going that way. I thought, not revealing it, the actual other Quicksilver all along was a bit of a missed opportunity. But sure, look, there's people doubt Marvel all the time, and they always tend to come back with something better than what we could imagine. So yeah, that was missed mark. Something for me I didn't like really was the entirety of the penultimate episode. I just thought it's just going back through her life. While interesting, just felt like it could have been left to 2 or 3 scenes rather than an entire episode.
That's interesting you say that, because actually I said that was one of my favorite episodes, but I also totally get what you're saying and why people would not like that, because it did really feel like it kind of stalled some of the momentum that we were building into in a finale. And yeah, it probably could have been peppered kind of throughout the show in general. And I think that's like, I've seen that complained about it.
I love that episode.
Yeah, like, I mean,
I loved the episode, but there was no new territory, really.
Yeah.
She had her powers before the Mind Stone. Yeah.
I think like a lot of people's kind of complaint in general, and this was kind of even before it was revealed. Like I started seeing articles around like the 5th or 6th episode where it was they need to reveal their big bad now, and we kind of only got that in the last 3 episodes at the very end of I think the third last episode maybe, that it was Agatha all along. Which again, I mean, I don't really know what Agatha did as catchy as that song is. Is that the sort of thing where you feel like it could have been paced better, could have been broken up better? Luke, what is your own thoughts on that?
I don't think so, because, well, okay. I have 2 answers for this. One, if you look at this as one single piece, one series on its own, yes, it could have been paced better. It isn't. It's one piece of a much larger jigsaw puzzle, which in that case, it's perfect. It slots in and does exactly what it's meant to do. But if you are looking at this, which is a lot of people's complaint, if you are looking at this, like if this was one film, say, which a lot of people are comparing it to the films, it doesn't really work that well. But if you put it in the broader spectrum of the entire Marvel universe, this thing is a piece of art in every sense of the word. It does so much for it. I think it's absolutely incredible. And I think, to go back to the point of Quicksilver and the Evan Peters Quicksilver, I don't think that's finished. I think there's more to that, because yeah, he's an actor called Ralph Boner, which is very clearly a joke fucking punchline anyway. But at the same time, when you look back on the episodes and he first knocks on the door, when Darcy's looking at the screen, the alarm is going off that somebody's after breaking through the hex.
Yeah.
So that is a very big detail that hasn't been touched on yet. What broke through the hex at that moment? It's the same alarm that when there was a breakthrough when Wanda came through it. So someone broke through it at that time.
I think you brought up something very, very interesting there. Like, in that, A, this is a part of the Marvel Universe, and B, like, it was never meant to be this part of the Marvel Universe, if you know what I mean. Like, it's the first show on on Disney Plus, which was never meant to be. It's the first thing in Phase 4, which again, it was never meant to be. This would have been like 5th billing originally, or 4th billing, I think. But anyway, like, it kind of had that kind of pressure on it, I think, as well, that you kind of have to remove yourself from it and say, okay, objectively, would this have been any different if it had been coming out in the original order? Like, and I think because of that, it did have the suffering of expectations for some people.
The suffering of expectations. Perfect.
Yeah, you know,
great word. New word invented here.
That's our word of the day. Let's put that up on the screen right there.
Sufferation.
But yeah, like, I mean, again, I guess we're touching more on kind of the complaints. We could say positive stuff all days. But you know, what did you make of, I guess, Agatha as a villain in general? Did you think she was a decent villain? And again, taking into account that we have definitely not seen the last of her, but do you think she was all that as a villain? Do you think we needed a stronger villain? Everyone was, of course, kind of
was she a villain?
I don't think she was.
Hayward was the villain.
But 100%. Hayward was the absolute villain of that show. I hated him.
Let me play devil's advocate here, pun intended, right?
Hey.
Well, I guess not pun intended because there's no devil stuff in this now, you know. So like, Hayward shot at fake kids.
Yeah.
I mean, how much of a villain? Like, I know he got arrested, and I know we're meant to say he's the bad guy. And look, you shouldn't shoot at fake kids either. Let me put that disclaimer right there. But like, it is kind of weird. Like, Wanda did just sort of get out of there with again. We're going to see continuations of it. It did feel like she kind of got off lightly. No, what do you reckon, Aaron? I think you're kind of disagreeing with me.
Well, I don't think she got off lightly. She's kind of escaped to a cabin in the woods, apologized to a mob that would look like they were about to kill her. Like, they looked like they were about to swarm her until she flew off. Obviously, she's far more powerful than all of them combined and would have just, snapped their necks in an instant. But I think her going into isolation is her punishing herself more so than her getting away with it.
Okay.
It's literally the ending of Dexter. Literally. Exactly.
I've never watched it, so
but it is, isn't it? But Tom, you've seen it. It is.
It's the end of Dexter. Okay. So, Dexter's coming back, so I guess we can
Wanda
going into a cabin and becoming a lumberjack.
Season 2, Wanda Dexter. Do it.
Wanda Dexter. Oh, I'd watch that. I'd watch the shit out of that.
So I guess that's as good a place as anywhere. I suppose. Look, we said a couple of negatives. Let's do our sandwich approach: positive, negative, positive. What was the thing it did best here? What is something that you think that kind of elevated over the rest of the MCU? I'll start with Luke.
I think building the Scarlet Witch and sending it into Multiverse of Madness, say, for example, it piqued all of our interest in the multiverse, regardless of if Evan Peters was Quicksilver and all that. It made all of us start to go, the multiverse. So now we want to see that more than anything. We know Multiverse of Madness is coming. We know that she's a stronger being than the Sorcerer Supreme now. So it sets up this idea. Also, is she a villain? Is she not a villain? A lot of people are speculating she's a villain in Doctor Strange. I think that would be interesting, but I think they're going to do the same thing again in that she's who Doctor Strange is trying to catch, but is she necessarily the villain, or is there someone else who's the villain, kind of thing?
I hopefully it pays off. We don't know. Yeah, we don't know the villain of Doctor Strange 2 at the moment. And that's something I find very interesting. And we'll talk about this in a minute when we're talking about like what's coming up in the MCU. But Doctor Strange 2 is like pretty much done filming from the sounds of it, and nothing has really leaked out of it. Like, everything else that's filming, we've had set photos, we've had rumors. Doctor Strange 2 is running a tight ship for what seems like it's going to burst the whole universe open, which is just really fascinating to see.
I think that's what you can do when you have an entirely CGI'd film. Nobody ever needs to see it.
I was just going to say, I feel like because of Madness of the Multiverse, a lot of green screen going on in that movie, so there's probably not a lot of set to be seen.
Well, I love that because I'm kind of so sick of like some big reveals being revealed on sets, It used to happen all the time, especially with was it like back in the early Spider-Man films? It was like, okay, they're releasing all these good photos. That means they're going to start filming outdoors and the whole movie's going to be ruined. As far as positives, Aaron, what would you take away from WandaVision? What was something that you would say it did better than anything else?
I loved how it very much like transitioned from show to show to show, how it went through the different tropes of decades, and then seeing that all paid off. It's actually one of the few things I really liked from the second last episode, where you see then the collection of all the TV shows inside a box. And then the little subtle things like that I really love that it did. Like, for example, the town's called Westview, and all the shows is her view of the West from Eastern Europe. So all stuff like that was very, very cool. So the little subtle things like that, I thought it did very, very well. Usually they tend to like blow those things up in your face, like, let's see what we're going for here. But this one was very much a very slow burnt version, which I think superheroes always benefit from a slow burn. It's why we have comic book issues and not comic book anthologies. It's so much better to view this kind of medium through a television show. I've always felt that, especially with stuff like Arrow and The Flash.
Is really well said as well. When you were talking about that kind of episode, for me, well, I mean, if I was being very pedantic, and this is again just because I'm a massive DVD owner, like technically that would breaks the whole timeline of the MCU if you look at when those DVDs came out, which is just me being really pedantic. But even what you said there, like that episode, what I really liked is that, and this is a complaint like some people throw at Marvel, which I don't really think is accurate in general. A lot of people say sometimes Marvel films can feel kind of cold and emotionless, and I think one thing this series did really well was that it kind of dived into the emotions. It wasn't afraid to slow things down to give those character moments, especially for Wanda and even at times for Vision, which is like just excellent. It's what we kind of needed, and I think it's one of the benefits of doing a TV show over a movie. Like, what did you think?
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question? Do you think it's suffered with, say, I don't know how to phrase this, the manlier, tougher Marvel audience because of that emotion? Like, you see a lot of people kind of who are Marvel fans on Twitter not getting this at all. Do you think the emotional aspect is the side of that, or is it the kind of bizarre style of it?
That's interesting, because I was actually thinking, one of the things I really didn't like about the finale was that it kind of fell back into, you know, for lack of a better word, Marvel tropes. Now, again, when done well, that works perfectly good. And I did like the finale overall, but like it was like, okay, forget all the other stuff. We're just going to have a laser show in the sky, you know? And I think some of the people come to Marvel wanting that. And when it was like, I think especially because it was like they put out 2 episodes, and I actually read during the week they originally wanted to put out 3 episodes because you had the first 2 sitcom episodes and then the big reveal of what was going on. I think to a certain degree, putting out just the 2 episodes probably made people kind of go, what am I even watching? And some people just don't have patience. Like, and that was what a question I was going to ask. What do you think of the weekly release of this? Do you think this worked or not? Because like, I think we're looking at shows now that are, some are getting all out at once, some are going week to week. Like The Boys came out last summer and it got absolutely downvoted to hell because it had weekly releases. And people kind of lost their patience in the middle, or some people did, with the weekly releases. Do you kind of prefer this as a weekly release, or do you think the binge model would have worked better? What do you think on that, Aaron?
In a modern situation, especially with lockdown and everyone begging for something to watch all the time, a binge format would have absolutely suited the majority of audiences, but they're not making this for the majority of audiences. They're making it for comic book fans. I think me and Luke are the worst people to ask this question because we are comic book fans. We are used to buying things weekly. What's happening next? What's in the next issue? So I personally loved it because it just felt like you were getting a new issue every week, but that's just because I'm used to that format with superheroes anyway. So I feel like for a general audience, it really suffered, but for comic book nerds and diehards, it was very much an enhancement for them because it felt like watching a comic book rather than reading it.
It's interesting you say that, because I'm just thinking, like, when it comes to comics myself, I've never been like an issue guy. I'm like the collected version guy. I just can't. I can't do issue by issue. I just don't. I think it doesn't look good in the shelf for me personally. But I understand what you mean. Like, and I do think that this was a show in some ways, and maybe you could even put this to a fault, that it was something that was very geared towards kind of more hardcore audience. It felt like everyone was kind of in on the ground floor of, this is the theory, this is what's going to happen, did you know this is coming? To the point where like someone who is a more casual viewer had picked up on it. Like, my brother is not a big comic guy at all, really. He watches the Marvel stuff casually, but he was kind of like, oh, did you hear like Mephisto? And he mentioned Agatha Harkness by like the 4th episode. And I think it kind of works in both ways, because that is why you can just do a kind of a reveal as glib as, it was Agatha all along, duh, like, you know. I guess
that is true.
So from WandaVision, and just say kind of, where do we go from here? Where do you think this is going to bring our characters? Obviously, the big kind of speculation is Wanda going to be a villain? Aaron, I actually thought you might have been one of the first people I saw mention this. I think you might have tweeted about it at some stage to me. You were kind of someone pushing this out for a while. Do you think that Wanda could become a villain, or where do you think that can go?
Kind of like Wanda could become a villain in a sense of that she thinks she's doing what she thinks she's doing is right, similar like what we saw here in Westview, and obviously the comic book, everyone's tied it back to the House of M. She very much in those is doing what she believes is right, but it's not necessarily coming across as right. So I think she could be doing this, and very much, especially in the Multiverse of Madness, she could very much be doing this out of the goodness of her heart, which is why she might be getting off easy. Yeah, but I think ultimately she's going to become some sort of villain character who can be redeemed. You know, similar to like what Ultron did in Age of Ultron. He was going to destroy humanity for humanity's sake. Yeah, something along those lines again.
Yeah, that's it. I
Which
think
will all be very cool to see.
It would be a really interesting turn, but it would be like one of the ballsiest things they could probably do, which is to turn that character full villain. Like, I mean, it would totally work, especially because it's a character that we've kind of grown to love and feel sympathy for. But I don't know. It's hard to tell if they're going to actually pull the trigger on it. Luke, what do you reckon about this? Is this something we're going to see or no?
I don't think we're going to see her. I was going to say heel turn. They've spent way too much time building her as a sympathetic character. She isn't somebody who like we'd understand too much if she went full bad guy. You know what I mean? Like, whereas someone like Thanos or whatever, you're not really behind them. Whereas with Wanda, they've spent so long pushing her in a direction of, oh my God, all these bad things happened to her and we all feel sorry for her, that if she went mental, you'd go, yeah, I would. I'd go mental too if I was her. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. And I think the situation is going to be Doctor Strange trying to stop her for her own good so that she doesn't become a villain. And she's going to be breaking the multiverse effectively, like I assume in that. And he's going to have to chase her through that, which I don't know how that's going to work, but it's going to be amazing. But I don't think she's ever going to go full villain, but she'll always be on the brink of fighting with the Scarlet Witch effectively.
Okay. Very quick question on that note. Is she getting the kids back? What do we think?
Ooh.
Like, you have to think, the thing we were thinking all along was that this was going to in some way lead to Young Avengers. So it's TV series, especially if you look at like the lineup and characters they're introducing, it seems like they're just lining up Young Avengers members all over the shop. Aaron, what do you reckon?
It would have to be done in a very convoluted way because, as you've mentioned, they're fake. And we have like, there is that weird new Vision flying around the place. You know, will he have the same visions for same feelings for Wanda like the original did? Something. I think there will be some form of those characters reappearing, but I don't think it's necessarily going to be the same ones we saw in Westview. Something will happen. They will appear again, but I don't think it's going to be the same. I don't think any of these characters are going to reappear the same.
So, I like, do you think there's a possibility that the voices that she hears is somebody mimicking them to get her to break the multiverse? The real villain for Doctor Strange, say.
Wiccan and Speed, they basically, we know that they're not real and they come from, in comic book anyway, they come from a part of Mephisto, I believe. They're like an element of him. So unless Mephisto's the main villain of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, but he could be the one mimicking them if they come from him or them. I don't know. Don't gender demons, I guess. But come from them. So maybe that's the person, you know, mimicking the voices. But yeah, I'm convinced the Westview ones are done. They're not gonna. The actors might come back. I don't think that version of them will come back.
I think they could even bring it back aged up in some way. Yeah, but again, how they do that is like it's there's so many questions of how you could actually do it. It certainly seems like they're teasing that it could happen again, but maybe they just want to leave every door open, I guess.
Did you hear about the deleted scene?
For the finale, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
So there's a deleted scene about apparently they were going to go and get the Darkhold from the basement, and the rabbit turns into a big giant demon and chases them around the house. Like the kids, I think it's the kids, Monica and Ralph, maybe, and chases them around the house.
That would be very cool because the rabbit's called Senior Scratchy and isn't something Scratch is Agatha Harkness's husband.
Yeah.
So it could have been that. Yeah, that could all. Hugo or something like that.
Nicholas Scratch is her son.
Nicholas Scratch.
Nicholas Scratch. Yeah.
It's interesting because, like, I think we are getting more and more about the kind of behind the scenes it is now, and obviously we're going to get more on Friday when they do the making of. It seems like this was actually kind of affected by COVID a little bit. They were kind of saying that basically there actually was going to be a 10th episode at one point. Then they cut things down. They had to delay things because of COVID, and they couldn't get certain people, and that. Basically, the reason I was saying at set they were going to put out 3 episodes. The reason they couldn't put out 3 episodes was because they literally said we wouldn't have been able to get the finale done in time if we put out 3 episodes. There would have been a delay of a week. So that was how basically tight they were cutting it. Like, but I guess I just want to come back to Vision there because Aaron, you mentioned Vision. I'm really interested in where they're going to go with Vision because, and you actually just made me think this now, Aaron. To be honest, this kind of idea of a character that has, you know, some of their memories not fully intact. They're kind of already doing that with Gamora and Guardian. So I'm kind of hoping they're going to do kind of a different approach with it. And I hope it's not just that he comes in, you know, in the middle of a big battle and it's like, it's okay, everybody, I'm cured. So I'm kind of hoping we're going to see a bit of an arc there. But again, where you squeeze that in is even a bigger thing. Like, what do you think is going to happen with Vision? We go with Luke first.
I'm gonna go me first, fucking Skyler. So jump in the queue, you little bitch. I think the Vision thing is fascinating, and I think it probably needs its own TV show. I think if they're gonna show him trying to come to terms with who he is and what he's doing, and that's effectively his WandaVision. You know what I mean? Where he's trying to figure out where he belongs in the world and what he does. I don't know how they're going to do it because, as you say, if he just shows up to help her in Multiverse Madness, you're just going to go, cool. Yeah. What was the point of that?
Well, I think Vision's also probably going to be in Multiverse Madness. I already said this on another podcast. I think Multiverse Madness is a Civil War situation. It's a red herring. It's actually going to be.
Do you mean
Avengers
other
movie.
Podcasts? There's only one.
Others, I said in another conversation, at another conversation that was never recorded, I said that I think Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is a red herring title. It'll actually be an Avengers title similar to Civil War, and we're going to see multiple characters appear in it, similar like the Vision. And I think we might get some initial confusion, some fighting, and something will happen where he'll just say Wanda like he does over and over again, and their love will be rekindled in that manner. Just from some weird bullshit. Oh, true love conquers all, you know?
And they'll do that Marvel thing where a sentence that was uttered 25 years beforehand will suddenly become so relevant, even though no human would have ever remembered it.
100.
On your left, for example.
I was just about to say that. I'm like, could you imagine like the first, like that would be like me remembering like one of the first things you said to me and then bringing it up like now and be like, huh? So speaking of Falcon and Winter Soldier, next week, we're having it. What are your thoughts on this, guys? Is this something that we're massively looking forward to? I'm going to give my opinion in a minute. I think it might be a bit of a contrarian opinion. So, Aaron, we'll come to you first this time. What are you looking forward to in Falcon and Winter Soldier?
I really hope they keep the buddy cop element from Civil War, where, you know, it's like, move your seat forward. No. And when he tells him he hates him and stuff like that. Stuff like that would be really funny. I don't want them to be best friends out of nowhere. Yeah. Like, they should both want to be Captain America, you know? I think it would ruin it if they suddenly are like, oh, we have the same motives now. No, like, make those characters clash more. It's funnier that way. So hopefully it's like that. But ultimately, like, I just don't care about the Winter Soldier. I'm not gonna lie. I always found him a very boring character. I'm not a big Captain America fan. I'm not a huge Captain America fan. So for me, it's just Falcon is cool though. I do like the character of the Falcon. I found how he interacts, but also Anthony Mackie's just hilarious in interviews. So maybe that's an added element of it. But yeah, ultimately, yeah, sure, I'll watch it.
Okay, that's interesting. That might be closer to my opinion. Luke, what do you make of the Falcon and Winter Soldier? Where are you at with it?
I'm not sure from what I'm seeing in the trailers. I think it looks like a big testosterone-fueled fun fest, but if that's all it is, I don't know how that's going to sustain for a TV series. Okay. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think the buddy cop element could be amazing. It'll give it a Lethal Weapon kind of vibe to it. But if that's the case, they need a Joe Pesci. Who's going to be their Joe Pesci? That's what we need to figure out.
Can we actually
just not good. Joe Pesci. Can we actually just get Joe Pesci? Yeah. To be Joe Pesci. Yeah. Not even playing a character or anything.
Oh my God.
What do you think, Joe Pesci?
He's conveniently always on hand as Joe Pesci.
Yeah, that's actually you guys.
But I agree. I think they need to hate each other.
Yeah, I think you guys are actually.
They need to hate each other. So it'd be like if me and Skyler had a buddy cop show.
I would watch it. Skyler, Marion Armstrong, and Joe Pesci. There you go. And throw Ivy in there. 3 men and a baby.
Oh no.
Don't worry, Luke. You can be Tom Selleck. You can be the Tom Selleck of the group.
Yes.
So yeah, you guys are actually closer to my thinking than I thought. I'm not gonna lie. Like I am looking forward to it, but it's probably my least anticipated of all the Marvel shows we're getting. It kind of to me just looks like something we've kind of gotten before. At least some of the ones that do look a bit familiar. It's a new character. I do like the Winter Soldier, but I totally see what Aaron's saying as well. Like, this character really hasn't been fleshed out outside of his relationship with Captain America, and now that Captain America's gone, like, I'm hoping we're going to get something that actually makes him interesting. But yeah, I also have to say what Luke is saying, which it does kind of just feel like testosterone action fest. I'm worried about having to do weekly episodes on this because I don't know how much I'll be able to say in it. I don't know if I'll just be like, it was a good episode, a lot of action. like and subscribe. I don't know if there's going to be anything to dig into.
Is there going to be any mystery? Is it like, I do like, they're obviously going to try and fix Zemo in some way, but however they're doing that is going to be interesting. But
they've done the
what's the story?
reveal,
I know,
to be fair, at least with Zemo.
I know the trailer.
The costume looks awesome. Yeah. Have we any big predictions about this? I have one prediction, and maybe it's an obvious one, but I think this might be leading to Thunderbolts. What do we make of that? It seems like this could be where we get it. Right? It feels like we've been hearing about it for a long time, though, rumored wise. But what do you make of it, Aaron? Do you think there's any possibility we'll get this?
No, I think they're faking us out, and Zemo's the bad guy all along. Done.
Okay.
Oh, the scientist who wants to kill all the Winter Soldiers, trying to kill the Winter Soldier in the end. We saw that one coming. It's very right. I don't think we're going to get anything. Well, I actually think, though, this is for the people who didn't like WandaVision. They're giving us something to watch that we can be like, woo, super about. Yeah. And then for the people who are like, no, I just want action and fighting. This show's very much for them. So I think we're going to see not simpler is a bad way to put it, but just a much more cut and dry plot all the way through.
It totally makes sense that would have been the first entry. I think it just seems like more of a crowd pleaser, I guess, not less to have to dig into and think about. But yeah, I mean, what do we have any predictions for Falcon and Winter Soldier? Or is there anything we think we might come away with at the end?
I think they're going to have to introduce a new character in there. I think they're talking about bringing out things like She-Hulk. They're talking about bringing out those kind of things. They're going to have some kind of tie-in to those, either in this or in Loki, which I suppose Loki probably might make a little bit more sense. But
I heard a rumor.
They're going to have to do something to start building it.
I heard a rumor, and I'm not sure how true this is. And I actually was trying to find it before we recorded this, and I still can't find it. There was a rumor that they're trying to find a secret possible substance that might be something to do with Inhumans, which would link into Ms. Marvel. Again, total bucket of salt. That's what I've heard. It might be total lies.
Okay.
I don't know, though. Otherwise, it does kind of feel like where do these characters kind of go from here? Does need to be something that links into, because I think as much as the Disney Plus shows are going to be a lot of fun, I want to see more connection to not just the movies, but also the TV shows. I kind of want them to be a bit connected too,
Yeah.
But anyway,
because the TV shows before aren't they connected? Because Kevin Feige's gone back and forward on this one with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and that kind of stuff.
Very, very, very loosely, basically. I mean, I think they kind of pick and choose. Some people are already having a hissy fit, the big hardcore Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans, because they're like, the Darkhold doesn't look like the Darkhold. But technically, I mean, all that stuff I think is canon, except for, well, actually no. Okay, so follow me along this one now. Okay, so technically the guy who played Jarvis in Agent Carter was in Endgame, so that would make anything that happened in Agent Carter that crossed into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that crossed into anything else, canon. As far as I know, Runaways and Cloak and Dagger also had the Darkhold in it from the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So
Runaways did. I've watched Runaways and it definitely did.
Okay, there you go. I had not watched Runaways or Cloak and Dagger yet.
It's great. It's actually it's very much a young adult show, but it's very, very good.
I've heard that, yeah. It's kind of a shame, because they are so. And again, I suppose even the Netflix stuff is the Netflix stuff seems kind of less canon than any of that stuff now. As much as I think it was really good.
But the Netflix TV shows mention the incident, and there's big green guys walking around, and that. Yeah, but it was always kind of a
a tip of the hat kind of thing, It was kind of we're all in the same universe, right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Remember after the first Avengers came out, and it was they had this hashtag, it's all connected, and then people watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and they were like, it's not connected at all. What is this bollocks?
But isn't it? It is being heavily rumored that Charlie Cox is on set for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
If you're going to have the same
he better not be playing it.
He better not be playing some random schmuck.
He's going to
be Matt Murdock.
But yeah, that's I mean, that's what's good is that I think because there was a big divide between Marvel TV, because there was that guy what was his name, Jeff Loeb and Ike Perlmutter, and there was kind of a divide between them and Kevin Feige, and that's kind of starting to dissipate now. So I guess they kind of pick and choose. I don't know. It's kind of interesting, especially because if there's one thing that they totally just forgotten and cast aside, it has to be Inhumans. So I wonder if they'll ever connect that with Miss Marvel. That's the kind of thing that's the one thing that made me kind of question that. I don't know.
Was that show bad, or was it just not given the attention it deserved?
See, against my better judgment, I watched the whole thing. I don't know why I did. I mean, I guess it's because it was just 8 episodes, but it just came off like they did it out of some obligation to me. It kind of felt like, because I know the reason they made it to begin with was like this guy, like Perlmutter, was like, oh, we got to make Inhumans because they've got the X-Men, and he wanted an Inhumans movie for the longest time because of that. And then basically he was like, well, it's not a movie, but we're going to put the first 2 episodes on IMAX, so it's like a movie.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then it came off as very cheap, and I felt like they were like doing really awkward ways to get around it. Like the character Medusa, you're like, what do you want? What we need for her hair, and then like the second episode, they're like, shave her head. It was just awkward. It was just a load of actors that they were like, you're part of the Marvel universe, and then they stuck them in like fucking Hawaii and filmed for like 6 weeks, and then shot it out on TV. It was okay, it wasn't good. It wasn't as bad as everyone said it was, but it was just, it's not. You don't need to watch it. Basically.
Are we ever going to get John Bernthal in the MCU?
You have to.
Yeah.
They got the did they not just get the rights back to 2 of the Netflix shows?
Yeah.
Was it not Punisher and Jessica Jones?
They officially have the rights back to every Netflix show on Marvel.
All of them.
So, like,
oh, really?
Yes. It just, the last 2 were Punisher and Jessica Jones, and they just came back, I think, a couple of weeks ago.
Defenders back again, please, because that's very underrated in my opinion.
Yeah,
I agree.
I
agree.
Yeah. I think the only thing that people are kind of, the only one that people were kind of completely against was Finn Jones as Iron Fist, which, to be honest, like, I thought it was fine. I thought, like,
I didn't hate it.
I didn't think it was terrible either. No.
I think it was that kind of thing where, like, it had a shackle around it. Like, if this had a proper budget and they totally cared about it, it could have been amazing. Like, I actually love Iron Fist. That was like when they announced these shows, like back in like 2013 or whatever it was. The characters I was hiding for was Daredevil. Daredevil is like my favorite hero, and Iron Fist. Those are my 2 most anticipated. So like, it was fine. But I think like if we had like Shang-Chi, like if they hadn't done Iron Fist, that would have been the Iron Fist movie,
But now that they have the rights back and Shang-Chi's involved, could you not do something?
Don't get me excited because I would believe that's going to happen.
But what if they do that and they still cast the same guy? Will people be pissed off or less pissed off?
I think less pissed off. I think the show will suddenly make a lot more sense.
But they'll have to teach him to actually do his own stunts, though, surely, or some kind of fighting, because it was the action in that film was what was bad about it, really. Yeah.
I don't know. And he kept being like, remember, like every scene he was in, he had to explain who the Iron Fist was. Or he's like, oh, Iron Fist, immortal weapon, the kid, savior of Kunlun. And you're like, okay, we get it. We heard that.
The immortal Iron Fist, living weapon, and protector of the ancient city, is still a thundering dumbass.
I guess that's kind of where we leave the TV side of stuff. And I guess I'll just ask you guys one last Marvel question. What is your most anticipated MCU project, TV or movie? We start with you, Luke, this time.
I think Loki, because it again looks like something. I like things that are a little bit odd, a little bit weird, and they like. I'll give you for example, I always loved the supernatural episodes that were a little bit more meta. Loki seems like it's going down that way, where it's like him jumping out of planes and going a bit mad in actual real historical events. I think I'm going to like that. Now, I hope I'm not let down, but I don't think I will be because I love Tom Hiddleston anyway.
I was going to say, you with your big conspiracy theory head must be dying at the Dan Cooper thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's cool. Loki is also an interesting one because it seems to be like they're already working on a second season to this one, whereas a lot of the other ones are kind of like, maybe we'll do another season. I think like it feels like it can kind of be standalone and have a bit of fun with that. It seems very kind of Doctor Who-ish. Aaron, what do you think? What's the anticipated MCU project for you?
The exact opposite end of Loki, Thor: Love and Thunder, because Thor: Love and Thunder.
I retract my answer. I'm going with that.
Natalie Portman's back. It's Taika Waititi. It's funny Thor. Yes.
Can I change my answer again?
Go on.
Deadpool 3. What am I talking about? Deadpool's my favorite character of all time. Deadpool 3. When he 100% is going to bring Ralph Bohner into it as his sidekick. He fucking has to.
Yeah, Deadpool 3 is kind of a question mark, really, because it kind of feels like it's going to be like something that's holding on to the last continuity, but also something totally new because now it's under Disney and they've got new writers, a new creative team and all this stuff.
And they also just buried all their own continuity with the end of Deadpool 2. So, like, it's.
I mean, if you're
They can do
looking for that
whatever the
movie
fuck
watching
they want.
X-Men films, it's your own fault, really.
Yeah, that's true.
Imagine if the opening scene is just Deadpool going, "Yeah, this is all happening now. Deal with it," and then we have to accept it because it's a superpower.
That's exactly
Yeah.
what they should do, though, because like I don't need some
100%.
convoluted ass explanation in my Deadpool movie. Just be like, oh hey, fucking Disney bought me, less swearing, what the fuck.
Yeah.
Just
I
have him
would
like start with the 20th Century Fox opening and have Deadpool blow it up to reveal a big Disney castle was underneath it the entire time.
Well, that's the thing. Like one of my favorite Deadpool stories is Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, and in one of those,
I love it.
literally goes into the writers' room and starts killing the writers. And I'm like, that works for me.
I was only talking about that like yesterday. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
It's awesome.
Fucking
I
great.
actually have a list here. I played it safe because I was like, I don't want to just all pick the same thing. But like one of the most anticipated ones for me, and again, I kind of feel like a bit of a sucker for this. Spider-Man: No Way Home. I kind of feel like I'm being just like catered to. If it's like all the Spider-Men, and I'm like, I remember that Spider-Man.
But did you hear Tom Holland said they were never on set?
I don't believe it. Like, surely, but then again, if there's a
Could
man
be playing up to it, or he could have accidentally spoiled it. It is Tom Holland.
that's true. I think the fact that he had to outright deny it makes me think it's more likely to happen. But it also is that thing where like they've said, like they should, if not, they should have like disputed that straight away, cut that off right at the pass, because now everyone is going to be pissed off if that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But I also do like, as much as I'm excited for that movie, and I feel like a big caveman for just being like, yay, all my superheroes are together. I kind of feel like, it could be overstuffed. Like they're bringing in all these villains, even though like from the Amazing Spider-Man movies, which and if they're bringing in Daredevil, that's also really good. But like, if they're bringing in multiverse stuff as well, it's like there's a lot going on here, and there is room to fail.
Counter argument.
Go ahead.
Spider-Man has always been like the big criticism about Spider-Man 3 and Amazing Spider-Man 2 is that they're overstuffed. So are they overstuffing it on purpose to be like, see, fuck you, we can do it?
Oh, that would be such a fucking baller move by Marvel. It's just like, hey Sony, you know how you couldn't do this twice? Well, look at us do it. Bleh.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Pretty good, yeah. I mean, like, aside from that, the TV series I'm probably most excited for is probably Miss Marvel. I really like Miss Marvel. It just kind of feels like a Spider-Man I got in on the ground floor on. Like, it kind of feels like a character that if they do right can just totally nail it. And Hawkeye is one I'm also really excited because that run on the comics was excellent. As much as Hawkeye is kind of a running joke to a lot of people. But yeah, those are that's the Marvel stuff. So I guess that kind of leaves us at the end of our Marvel discussion. Guys, thanks for coming on. It means a lot. I've been trying to get you guys on the show for a long time. So if there was a time to do it, I'm glad it's now because you guys are as nerdy, if not nerdier, about this stuff. As I said, guys, that is where we're leaving the Watcher. Come back next week when we're going to start our weekly breakdown of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Check out 5 Minutes on Friday in the link below. And of course, keep an eye on the Phoenix YouTube channel where you can see Aaron Cregan, Matt Skyler, every now and then as
Skyler balls
on Phoenix Rising TV. Aside from that, keep watching because, as I said, I can't remember the end of what do I say again? I have too many tags.
Go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself. Luke Barry says go fuck yourself. That's when you sign off. Bye.